Okay, so welcome back to the lecture. And for the strategy lecture, and we were discussing about corporate governance. And we discussed first corporate governance thing. And today we have to discuss first the importance of corporate governance. Of the Katakara corporate governance can. But before that, I would like to discuss about BSAA. Isn't it? Every week we have to remind ourselves. I hope the online people could hear me and hear me. Right?
Yes, sir, we can use. Yeah.
I forgot to answer. So this is related to the group assignment, which is due. Which is due next week. Right? Next week, you have to submit the report plus you have to present. Right? So the rule is that if you are abroad, then you have to join online. If you are in Sri Lanka, you have to come physically and do the presentation. So I'm in Japan. Japan is part of Sri Lanka. So I am in Galle. Galle is part of Sri Lanka. Isn't it? So I'm in Mana. It's part of Sri Lanka. So you have to come and you have to do the presentation. So I'm in Canada. So you don't need to come. You can join online. But you have to on your, so these are for the online participants. So, and this video is recorded, hopefully. So you have to on your camera. You have to on your camera and at least during the presentation, not always, right? At least during your presentation, you have to on your camera. So we'll be able to see, isn't it? Who is this present? And it will be recorded immediately. Because we need to verify who is presenting and who is not presenting. Right. Suppose if someone is not present, what will happen? So that's very clear. That person will not receive marks. So the percentage. What's the allocation for the presentation? 20 marks out of 100. So would that person get the marks for the report, which is 10% allocated for them? Would that person get that? It depends. I'm going to ask the other members whether that person contributed. Usually the response is yes, yes. Then I tell, oh, remember I am an auditor by profession. From you. I'm an FCA. And FCA stands for a fellow chartered accountant. The teacher being a fellow chartered accountant is a bit, hard to handle. If you are trying to do certain, misinterpretations. Couldn't say pretty much right, but misinterpretation. So you have to have hard evidence how that person contributed. I will request for that, and I'll ask, okay, how that person contributed. So if someone has not contributed, don't put that person's name in the report. Right? Don't do it, because it's unethical, isn't it? It's against ethics. That person has not contributed. That person should get the signal that there's nothing called free lunch in this world. When you have free lunch, no, there's no free lunch. You have to work to get the return. Why Sri Lanka is in this situation? Because people get things that they are not supposed to. Some countries, politicians are doing the same thing. Right? They get things that are not supposed to. They don't want that. They don't have any right to get that, but they get it. So that's what we call in other words robbery. Stealing. That's a dangerous crime. Okay. So don't promote it. Don't allow anyone to steal and do these kind of unethical activities. So the group leaders please ensure that And yes, you can decide who is present. I'm not going to randomly select who is going to, but I will be randomly asking questions. Randomly asking questions. Online as well as physical. I'll be asking questions and I'll be verifying that information. So they have to be ready with the entire presentation. You cannot say, sir, I did only this. So I cannot answer. That's not an answer. Because this is what? Group. This group, being group work. It's group responsibility. That's what we call collective responsibility, isn't it? Collective responsibility. You all have taken a group. If you are a member of a group, you have to take the collective responsibility. Right. So it will be for 15 minutes. The presentation will be for 15 minutes. And within that 15 minutes, don't exceed that. Do the presentation and finish it off. That's it. So next week that we have, that's what we have to do. So the report has to be submitted by when? Friday, midnight. And then next day, going to be a bright Saturday like this. It's a very bright Saturday. It's too bright, in fact. And yes, in a bright Saturday, you'll be doing the presentation. So take it easy. Do your best. Do your best. Right. So that's related to your presentations, and we are going to get on 15. 15. Any questions related to that? Is that clear? Any, if it is not clear, online participants also you can clarify. I think I tried to make myself very, very clear because to avoid misunderstandings related to what's required. And how are your preparations? Are you prepared? Research, then Lanka one of the Lanka. We'll do it next week. We'll do it now. Some people are so prepared, maybe that's why we see this amount of students in the class. So much prepared. Okay, but again, so I'm going to see not only the content, I'll be looking at your presentation skills. And some people just read by looking at the papers, so what is the screens, no, that's presentation. You have to present. So what's the secret of a good presentation? What's the secret? Any presentation, behind any good presentation, behind any good performance, there's a big secret. What's that? Preparation. Rehearsal. Doing it at least 3 times together as a group. Managing time within 15 minutes. Because if you exceed 50 minutes, I'm going to stop you. I will tell you, stop. After 50 minutes, I'm going to tell you. Because we have, for these old things, we have a limited time. So, and it's not going to be fair with another. So, how to manage time within 50 minutes? Do it. Do as a group. Do as a group at least 3 times. Right? The presentation. So presentation doesn't mean that you speak things very rapidly, so no one could understand. That's not presentation. Presentation means you have to get as a group and rehearse it. Rehearse it at least 3 times. Manage the time within 15 minutes and convey the idea very properly. So what I have seen is mainly students don't have fail in their presentation, so they have a lackluster presentation, a weak presentation because of what? Lack of preparation. Lack of preparation is the number one reason why students don't present properly. According to my experience. So rehearse it. Now, what's my job? For last 20 years, my job is presenting. Even at this moment, I am presenting. That's a professor. I profess. I present. But do you know, when I'm going to go for an international conference and do my presentation, you know, I rehearse it at least 3 times. Yes, for 20 years, this is my job of presenting. But if I'm going to go for an international conference, national conferences even, international conference, I rehearse it 3 times. A person who has 20 years of experience of process. Why? The big secret. Rehearsal. Then only your words will come. You might be very, I'll tell you a story. Right? There was the island first who I coached to do the research. Island first. Then there was another student who was not the island first, but a very clever. The island first was at Jawaharlal and not was the island first, but a clever person was at SA. So there was a conference and still there is the conference. Actually, we call it the research symposium. And being the alternative chair of the CS Srilanka on the research work, so we organized that. Shankar is the chairman and I'm the alternative chairman. And I'm the chief editor of that journal as well, the CA Journal of Research. So in that symposium, in that year, I think it was around 2017, the island person was there. Then, of course, the SAB student, who was a very clever student indeed. So they were to present their research in this symposium. You also could present if you have done research. Then I get the same advice. What's the same advice? Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Rehearse the thing. At least 3. The SAB student took my words and rehearsed them. That first was will be too much confident about herself. She did not rehearse it well. Maybe 1 or twice, or 3 times actually. So when the presentation came, we saw the difference. The SAB student with nice showcase. She was flawless. She communicated the ideas very smooth. Ideas was but in certain places hiccups. Why it was not adequately praised. So it's nothing to do with what I can tell is it's nothing to do with how clever you are, how smart you are, how good you are. But so to do with what? Preparation. Rehearsing together as a group. As a group, not to individual ones and then try to accumulate. It doesn't work. Yes, of course, you can do it. You're on, but do the group presentation, the rehearsals together. Then you will understand some things are overlapping, some things are not understood, and you can even help your friends to tell, oh, you should do this in this manner. So do it together. There's online platforms, of course. So that's a secret. You might say it's an easy thing. Yes, in this world, things that are easy is what not usually be done. Easy කරන්න පුළුවන් දේ තමයි easy නොකරත් තියෙන්නේ. So therefore, do rehearse that and showcase a good presentation. Ultimately, it's going to be 30 marks altogether. It's a very important continuous. Any questions? So I gave you the secret now itself. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. It's not only the English language. You all are not born right speaking English language, right? But on the other hand, we have practiced, practiced, and practiced, and we have come to a certain stage of. I don't always attribute things to the English language when you present it, but to see your confidence and how much you are prepared. By looking at you with 20 years of experience, I know whether you are prepared or it's just that we are taken 30 minutes to just utter some words by looking at a piece of paper. Right? With experience, I can tell it. So therefore, prepare. Any questions? Okay. So yes, I know it's not going to be your first presentation in your life as well as it's not going to be your last presentations, of course. Right? So therefore, always I'll be giving good feedback, positive feedback as well as not negative feedback, feedback for improvements. What kind of, how can you improve? And there itself, I'm going to indicate the marks in my spreadsheet. Right. If you do have any questions, it's the best time to ask me and clarify any questions first. So how many have you finished the report? I don't. So I told you put a pseudo deadline. Pseudo deadline is the best way. I told you that one of my students, MBA students, who was CEO of a garment factory that exports garments to Nike. So he told his secret is that they prepare the order before 1 week to the date. So there's no any rush. Not like in certain other garment, some firms in the garment industry. If you ask the people in certain other firms in the garment with big names, I'm going to tell you know, but I'm poor and technical. You will see they're so busy. They are so busy, very busy. They don't have even time to go to the washroom. They even take their laptop to the washroom and do it. Why? Because they are doing things at the last moment. People get very stressed, busy, and unnecessarily they get the package. What's the package? Health package. They get high blood pressure, they get cholesterol, they get sugar, and finally they get the heart attack. So that's the package that they are going to get. But if you are well planned, well prepared, and if you have the discipline to do the things, even if you don't feel something to do, but if you anyways do that, then finally you can achieve your target. Don't rely on your motivation. That's the worst thing to rely on to do things. Rely on systems. Don't rely on your motivation. If you rely on motivation and when you feel, only if you feel things to do, you do that. But usually 90% of the time, you never fail to do things unless the deadline is due. So rely on systems. Google Calendar itself is a system. You can allocate time. Every day 30 minutes on your study. That's a system. Motivation. You get motivated when you go home to do studies. Not at all. You might be very tired indeed. But if there's a system, at least you will see that I have allocated 30 minutes. So let's open the book and see what has been done. That's what I call a system. A simple system. You don't need to have very sophisticated systems. Just have a system where you are going to allocate 30 minutes or 1 hour for your studies, for your assignments, and other things, for good things in your life. That's what we call a system. Don't rely on motivation. You don't get motivated. 90% of the time, you have to work on your system. Keep systems. That's what we call system thinking. So there's a book called Atomic Habits. If you ever have the time to read that, read. You tell how certain habits will take you and give you enormous progress and success in your life. And how to do that? It is atomic habits. So tiny habits, but has great impact. So that's why they call it atomic habits. Right. So that's about the group assignment, a kind reminder. Again, and again. And then finally, you have to have the individual assignment. That's it. Course that's on 23rd March 2024. And you need to present it. You need to present the individual presentation. Yes or no? Yes. Oh no. No. You don't need to present it. Your partner got taken. No, you don't need to present it. Not at all. Not required. And in fact, we cannot take the presentations practically because there are, I don't know, number of students in this class. So each student given 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's not possible. Okay, So that's about, so that's due on when? 20, 20. That's the last, it happens to be the last day of this class. 3. So by that day, we are going to finish all the things. In fact, and I see that we need some a bit more time for research methodology. Digital business strategy is almost done. But research methodology, I need some more time. Maybe we can use some time from this lecture as well from next week onwards after the presentation. And also to have some additional lectures because we did not have certain lectures for research methodology that were there online, but due to some or other reason, it was something that happened. Tuesdays we were doing, but then some additional days were there. But finally, it was not in the calendar. So if something is not in my calendar, it doesn't get happened. I need it to be, put into my calendar. So somehow they were not there in my calendar. So later on, I got to know that there had been a lecture, but it was not in the calendar. But all others were in the calendar and it was there. So therefore, we'll have some additional lectures because there I need to discuss with you about SPACs. Right. Oh, what? SPACs. So I gave you a task. What a task? Related to SPACs. Yes. To watch videos. So I told you to at least watch how many videos? 3 weeks. At least. At most 5 weeks. So now almost I told it last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yesterday was the entire holiday, and today we have a Saturday. And we have now tomorrow is Sunday and then Monday. Another about 2 effective days or 3 days is there. Effectively, there are 3 days. So almost we have got 4 days. Now, how many videos did you watch? No video. Why? Because you don't have a system. That's the reason. You rely on motivation. Motivation is key. Mark my words. You should really want to watch those videos by next Tuesday. You have to allocate time in your calendar. And maybe it's 30 minutes, watch it for 30 minutes. And again in the evening 30 minutes, watch it for again 30 minutes. That's the only way you'll be able to get it done. If not, again, it's just visual thinking. Right? If you want to really get progress in your life, success in your life, you have to rely on what? System. And your Google Calendar, whatever the calendar that you are using, but use is what? The system itself. You'll allocate time and then you'll be doing it. Maybe at that time something else will happen, then you will keep that time. Maybe tonight, only more. So we don't have time. That's a complete lie. You had time to do all other things. You had time to do all other things, but not this. You had time to watch YouTube. You had time to watch television. You had time to gossip. You had time to watch news. So there is no time is a complete lie. You are lying to yourself. What you have told is what you better tell. So it was not my priority. That's the reality. So watching those videos had not been my priority. That's the truth. Don't lie that I did not have it. So my priority is to watch news. So my priority is to watch YouTube. So my priority is to gossip. So my priority is to do something else. Therefore, don't tell that you don't have time. It's a complete lie. If someone tells that a person does not have time, what the person really in fact will is that it's not their priority. At the most. Be at least honest to ourselves, isn't it? So therefore, if you really want to do certain things, allocate time in your calendar and execute that. Even if you feel or not feel doing that. Don't rely on motivation. Motivation is the least thing that you'll be rely on. Because most of the time you are unmotivated because of a lot of work demands and work pressures, workload and other things. Okay. So I was just reminding for the people who can repeat often repeat because of religious reasons, right? So yes, next week is going to be a big week. Why is that? Presentation. Presentations are going to be. So it's going to be on 16th, 15th is the deadline, 16th you have to do the presentation. So I was just reminding that. And then week following that week, we'll have to submit your individual. And meanwhile, I was reminding you something else related to research methodology. I was telling you that you have to watch how many videos? 4 videos. Yes, at least 3 to 4 videos. And I'm not going to ask how many videos did you watch? No, I'm not going to disappoint myself. So, I'll be very happy to see at least one person had watched one video, but I'm not going to ask any there. Ask students. But by faith, again, I would say you did not watch that because you were relying on your motivation. Motivation is better. Systems work, motivation is. So what's a system? A system could be simply your Google Calendar. In your Google Calendar, allocate 1 hour to watch that video. Structure. Yesterday was a complete holiday. So what did you do? Not for certain people, is it? Not for certain. So the other thing, maybe you had several time slots, right? And how you are going to use the time, it's you. But on the other hand, remember to do things that's really going to benefit your future. Right? Don't blame others if you are unsuccessful in your life. Don't blame anyone. Blame yourself. Take the full responsibility of your life. Responsibilities, responsibility. You might say, sir, if someone comes and hit me at the road, when I'm just walking by the road, someone comes and hit me, am I responsible? Yes. One, you should be you should be not going in certain times in certain places in this country. Or maybe some mad person comes and hits you, but how you respond to that is up to you. Some people break down, they cry, they shout, and they think it's all in form. Some other people, that's a mad person. Just brush it off, keep going with it. How you react, you can decide that. Reaction is it. Things will happen in our life. The same things might happen, but the reaction, you can decide. That's why we say we are responsible for it. The reaction. Now, financial crisis. Now they have imposed so much taxes. Some people don't know, oh, this is going to be a huge issue. And they were bank managers, top executives. Do you know what they did? Migration to another country, that's perfectly okay. But running away because thinking that this country will collapse. And now what has happened? They are suffering. They are suffering to the core. And now some people are returning back. It's how you respond. If taxes are there, work more and earn more. If you think strategically, if you think in a resourceful way, you can find new ways. How you can use your knowledge to gain more income. That's up to you. That's what we call responsibility. Take full responsibility for your thoughts and for your action. Some life event. And then on 23rd, You have to submit your individual present. Any questions? Online or physical participants, any questions that you would like to clarify? Okay. Right. So let's then continue our discussion on corporate governance. So last week we started with that. So let's download it and open it. So you are using CG part 1. Take a run it. So I think you go to the download. Right. So yes, with the annotations, everything is there. So what's corporate governance? Now for a digital business, we understand that corporate governance is so important, not only for business, it's important. So what's corporate governance? Look at the definition and tell me. Look at the notes. No problem. I don't want you to buy half them, but again, just to understand. What's corporate governance? Look at the notes and tell me. Take your time, no worries. Take your time. What's corporate governance? What's corporate governance? For a digital business as well as for any business, it's applicable. What's corporate governance? The system by which companies are directed and controlled. So I told that there are two things in that definition. In fact, 4 elements in that definition. What are the 4 key words in that definition? The system, it's for companies, and I expanded it can be for any entity. Then, system by which companies are, yes, direction and control. Then we expanded the direction and control as what? Performance and performance. Performance and performance. So direction and control. Then we took performance. Or let's say performance. Good performance and good performance. Performance. Again, I told you that could be broken into 2 parts. What's that in terms of performance? Strategy setting and what's the next one? Policy making. Strategy setting and policy. So I can see some students immediately respond. Some students are looking at what this man is speaking. Why is that? Because the students, I'll tell you what's the difference. The students who came to the lecture, who took part physically, is giving now. Then there were students online. Why can't they tell us? Because they were just online, their names were there, but they were not really looking into it. So that's why you have to fully concentrate, if not, it's waste of time. And you might think, sir, we would have watched the videos which never happens. Right. So yes, performance has 2 dimensions, strategy setting and policy setting. That's performance. Then conformance again has 2 dimensions. What are the 2 dimensions on conformance? Yes. Discharging external accountability. Then monitoring and supervision. So those are the conformance aspects or compliance aspects of corporate governance. So if you take these 4 things, and if you see any task performed by the director, the board of directors, it could be classified into these 4. But strategy making, policy making, discharging external accountability, or what's the next one? Monitoring. So any task performed by them could be taken under these 4. So yes, as I told you, comprehensive is a comprehensive system, and yes, it's for companies at Cadbury in 1992 told, but I expanded it. It can be for any entity, including a university or a campus or a home, a government, right? Directed and controlled. And then OECD definition expanded to stakeholders as well. Yes, performance and performance. Direction and control. Then we broke into another four parts. So performance, as I told you, you very correctly told, strategy formulation and policy making. Then compliance or performance, providing accountability and monitoring and supervision. So these are the four duties of a board of directors. Any duty of a director could fall under this four. But you might disagree with me. It's perfectly fine to disagree. Disagree. So you might say, sir, we have a small issue. So in our company, actually the strategies are not made by the director. It's done by senior manager. So you are saying the responsibility of strategy making is of the director. But in our company, it's done by a senior manager. Not by the director. So sir, what's the problem? How can you answer that question? Since you did not ask that, I'm asking myself. I told you that strategy formulation is the responsibility of the director. But I myself am not telling you, no, in a company, it's done by a senior director, a senior manager, not a director. So is it this wrong? Bob Trick is the person who came up with, who is the grandfather of corporate governance. Is Bob Trick wrong? What is it? Bob Trick what is that got to Oh, I am not 100% perfect. I'm I I don't have errors. But how can you? But here there's no error. Indeed. How can you? How can you? Yes. A senior manager might come up with the strategy. But who takes the ultimate responsibility? If something goes wrong. Can the directors tell? Or let's say a company went bankrupt because of bad strategy. Then in the final AGM, now the shareholders have come to ask questions from the director. So the director board is there. And now the shareholders asking, why did you come up with a bad strategy? Then can the director stand up? No. The senior manager over there, he came up with the strategy. And therefore asking, can they tell it? No, they can't. They can't. So yes, this strategy can be made by a senior manager or by even an external consultant. That's perfectly fine. But who should take the final responsibility? You can delegate duty, but you cannot delegate what? Responsibility. Is that very, very human? You can delegate duties, but not the responsibility. You have to take the responsibility. So the answer is that a senior manager or even an external consultant could have come up with a strategy, but the directors are responsible for that because they have sanctioned, they have seen it, and they have seen it. So therefore, it's always structured. The duty can be done by someone else, but the responsibility has to be taken by the directors on these four functions. Okay. So I ask myself and I give you the answers. Okay, these are the four kind of functions of the board of directors. And after that, we discussed about internal governance mechanisms, the board of directors. And in fact, I gave you different types of directors as well. What are the different types of directors? They have what? Executive director and non-executive director. What's the difference? Executive directors are employees who is having an employment contract with the company. Example, marketing director, finance director. Because they get because they are employees, they get a salary and they do what? Engage in day-to-day activities. But then we have non-executive directors. Who are non-executive directors? Who are not employees. Who come only for the board meetings and get compensated for that. They don't engage in day-to-day operation. Then after that, we have again you can have two kinds of non-executive directors. What are those? Independent non-executive directors as well as non-independent non-executive directors. Right. Then we shall come to independent non-executive directors. How independence is defined? Not having financial or and blood relationships with the company. No financial blood relationship with the company. So if I am a major shareholder of a company, can I be an independent? Can I be an independent non-executive director? No, because I have financial interest. Let's say my brother or my father is the chairman of the board. Can I be an independent non-executive director? No, I can't because they are the direct blood relationship. So likewise, you have to understand the most powerful party, most powerful director, the director board in terms of corporate governance is who? Independent, non-executive director. We understood that last time. So the board of directors, internal board governance, then independent directors, then audit committee, nomination committee, right? Then remuneration committee, related party transaction committee, and even now we have risk committee, corporate governance committee, CSR committee. Then in banks, we have ALCO, asset liability company like committee. Like we have different types of committees. Then CEO and chair dueling. What do you mean by this? CEO and chair dueling. What's that? Now here chairman is who? But chairman of the board. CEO of the company. What's the difference? Are these the same thing? No. What's the board chairman's role? To run the board properly. To run the board properly, chairman's role. Board chairman's role. The CEO's role is what? To run the company under the direction of chairman. No, under the direction of the board. Under the direction of the board to run the company. CEO's role. Are those the same? No, it's completely different. Now, if these roles are combined and one person does both, the chairmanship as well as the CEO, do you think it's a good idea in terms of governance? In terms of governance, is a good idea? No. Why not? Because power is concentrated with one individual. Concentration of power is not good too much. Because what? It's said, like they have a nice saying in English language, power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. So people came like Sarala Janadipati, they were, some people came like to tell that they were painting and everything. But once they sat on that executive president's seat, what happened? They are that Sarala, the humble person vanished. And you get an autocratic. That's what powerful people be. Therefore, in any place, you should not have absolute power, right, vested in one person. In your own organization, if power is with one person, even the founder, after some time, no power should not be with that person. That person should be the direction. That's a different story. But if that person has too much power, then that's going to be a big issue. Just look at your organization. Maybe a family is behind your organization. Certain extent at the beginning, if it is the founding stage of the business model, but after a while, that will be a huge bottleneck to go for. They are old ideologies, family-centric behavior, and self-serving behavior will stop that company process. Why JKH is so successful? Why JKH is so successful? Here JKH, is there a person like Dominic Pereira or Ashok Patel, with all due respect to those individuals? JKH is enough? No. Is there a family? Like in Hades, here in Hades there is a family. Is there a family? No. Here in JKH. During COVID-19 and even after that crisis and even now, JKH is earning massive profits. Why? Why is that? There's no individual behind that organization. There's no family behind that organization. It's run by true professional managers. And their only interest is the KPI, key performance indicators, achievement of key performance indicators, not to honor and venerate the founder. In any organization, up to a certain extent, the founder's work will work, but after that, it will ruin away. Even in Sri Lanka, politics. A family in Bangladesh. Family in Bangladesh. They won the war and they did lots of things. Very successful in everything. But what happened? Power corrupts. And absolute power, absolutely corrupt. Very good example in Bangladesh politics. Not in Sri Lanka. One family, one person should never be given power. So that's the ultimate test of democracy as well as person. So that's what we call CEO chair. Those roles should be run by two individuals, not one. But maybe a family company, it could be combined. A family company, you could combine it. So it might be in the founding stages or beginning stages. You cannot pay two people, it's too expensive. But what you have to understand is, in a large scale public listed company, better to have that separate. Two individuals running or playing the roles of chairman as well as the CEO. Okay. So we understood that as well. I'm just reminding. The internal controls, of course, is part of good governance. And even I told you about the soap. The soap. What's that soap that I told you? Spam soap. So what's spam soap? It's a soap that if you apply, it gives you a golden skin. So it's not spam soap. Spam soap is what? S stands for? S stands for? Segregation of activities. E stands for? Physical controls. Then again A stands for? Accounting. An example was what? Bank, reconciliation. Then M stands for? Management. Example, having proper management policy. Even having attendance policy is a management control. So here we have a management policy that attendance should be there. But again, it's required. PAN, then again is PAN soap. It stands for supervisory. So there's supervisor monitor the work of supervisory. Right? S O stands for organization control. Having what? A proper organizational hierarchy. The line of authority should be very clear. People should know what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. And who is supposed to do it. That's for organization. Then A, again A is the what stands for it? Early it was accounting, now it's authorization and approved. Authorization. Yes, once a document is prepared, it should be prepared by, approved by, authorized by, likewise there's a line of what? Sequence of things that it should be monitored by different people. Authorization. Then finally T stands for so take a key. Not political control. Personal control. Personal. PRSONNEL. Personal control. It's controlled over what? Controlled over human resources. Also human resources. So we discussed about the test it, and maybe at the exam you might be asked, given a scenario where you are failing, what kind of internal controls went wrong and what kind of things to be implemented. In internal audit, then we have external corporate governance mechanism. Can you give some examples for external governance mechanism? I asked you to write down what's that? I give you an excellent external corporate governance mechanism. What's that? The Security Exchange Commission, yes, that's an external governance mechanism. As well as for a bank, Central Bank of Sri Lanka, those are regulators. Regulators play external governance mechanisms, act as external governance mechanisms. Also, ask you to even write down what's that? No one will take it. External auditors. External auditors become a very important corporate governance mechanism. External auditors. Financial markets like Colombo Stock Exchange, the state and federal laws and regulations, yes. Law itself is an external governance mechanism and courts of law, of course. Even the Companies Act is the governance data. And board decisions and those things. Right. Director psychology, these are the distinctions that the strategy. Right. Now, this is where we stopped last time. As I could remember, we stopped from here. Any questions so far? Now, regardless a traditional brick and mortar business or a digital business, you require corporate governance. Right? The must. You should have corporate governance mechanisms in your company. It can be a digital business, it can be a physical business, whatever business you require. Even for a non-business, it's required corporate governance. For a government, it's required. Even for a family, yes, there is governance required. If not, there is going to get success. There should be a direction given by the father, mother, or somebody else. If there is no direction, that's going to be a problem. You have to have direction. And then you have to have consensus between. Father might have a direction, but if others are not supporting, then it's not, there's no consensus built, and you are not going to work. It's not going to work. So likewise, there should be a direction, and the father or mother should be able to convince others into that direction, the children particularly, and then monitor and control. That's simply what governance is. Direction. So now let's see, particularly I see in Sri Lankan failed companies, as well as some international failed companies, certain poor governance activities. These were not there, and because of that, they failed. These companies failed. Like what? A non-independent chair. Here, chairman is what? Chairman of the board. The board chairman is not independent. So ideally, the chairman of the board should be an independent, non-executive director. Right. Then majority of the board of directors are not independent. All are executive directors. So they run as their own company, and the shareholders might be different. Then negative media reports, of course, a good way to see that whether a company is working better or not in terms of governance. Negative media reports. There are negative media reports. It's a good indication that there's poor governance. If poor, no surplus, no profits. If there is no profit, that means they are managing the company not properly. It's an indication. Not an absolute truth, but again, it's an indication there's no profits. Making losses year over year over year. Might be
showing that it has poor governance. Because I told you in governance, we have two aspects. What's what? One performance, the other one is performance. So if you cannot ensure performance, you cannot have profits. Your strategy might be wrong, your policies might be wrong. Yeah, it's it. Then organization extinction, that means bankruptcy. Lot of, if you see, lot of bankruptcies that had occurred, like Enron, WorldCom, International Srilanka, even Lehman Brothers. And Sri Lankan examples are there. Enough Sri Lankan examples. What are the recent bankruptcies in Sri Lanka? Actual failures. What are some Sri Lankan failures? Sure, of course, it's a failure itself. So yes, lack of governance. They were talking about good governance, but within 100 days, the good governance government came to power. There was a daylight probably regarding what? The central bank of India. Now people can remember that. Even that Arjun Mahendra, I don't know what has happened there. Lucius, I think he was in business, but I don't know what has happened. Perpetual second. See, that's what happens, right? So what are the companies that fail because of poor governance? I think you have heard about ETF finance. It is in a trust fund investment. Again, poor lack of governance. Then golden credit card key company. Another corporate. This is our good old Sakti Kranasing. Again, likewise, there are spate of corporate failures. And if you go and look at these failures, what were the causes? What were the reasons? Lack of governance. And you see, on the other hand, companies are super performing, like JKH. What's the reason behind that? Corporate. Better corporate. In this world, there are simple truths. The truth is not complex. The world is not complex. We have made it very complex. If you follow certain good things, the result will be that's if we do our responsibility, if the students do their responsibility as students, if the lecturers do their responsibility as lecturers, what is there should be success. But if one party does not do or do not do their responsibility, then it won't work. That's where we see students fail. One party has failed to do their responsibility. Right. So these are some poor governance attributes. What else? Directors have considerable conflict of interest. Right? And are all friends of the CEO and chair. So conflict of interest. What would be a conflict of interest? Just check and tell me what's conflict of interest. Use your smartphones and tell me, give me an example of conflict of interest in a company or maybe somewhere. Conflict of interest. How can a director have a conflict of interest? Just look at the smartphones. Particularly for a director, can you tell me a conflict of interest situation? Oh, no chance to have with conflict of interest. Particularly for a company, in a company situation, a director, conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. What do we mean by that? It's a very important term. And in governance, we have to avoid that. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. Just check and get me. I'm going to give about 5 minutes. In terms of a director, what can be conflict of interest? Can you give me an example? Hidden profits. Sorry. Hidden profits. Yes. Hidden profits. Conflict of interest. Right. No problem. See for a director how it becomes a conflict of interest. So usually conflict of interest happens when you are trying to wear two hats at the same time. Okay, දෙකක් එකම අවස්ථාවේ පණින්න හදද්දී තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඔක්කොම කියලා තියෙන්නේ දැන් තමයි
Right, let's see. I'm going to give you the chance to stand up and tell the whole class and the whole world, because it's broadcasted all over the world. What's going to be? Run it away again. We'll see. Conflict of interest, what would be? For a director, right? Let's say for a director, what kind of situation will cause conflict of interest? Okay, let me bring the time sheets. Right. Anyone who would like to tell what's conflict of interest? Let's come up with the first row. Well, conflict of interest. Last. Director. Inside retail exam, how we can inside so the director is not supposed to take it, right? Do the trading and gain profit, but he will take it. But then that person is now trying to make money by selling profit. He or she is supposed not to. He takes some okay. This that is he will making hypothesis. Okay, develop. Then anything, don't worry, make mistakes in the class. If we have especially this would be it. No. So let's do both of them. This step for equation. Especially. I think that's great.
Director of the transaction.
Yes, that's very. Yeah, I think that's great. Yes. He's increasing his own self. He said you want that anything. So put share into the family of so you are exporting your own family medicine. There might be two candidates who are useful, but you are exporting because of family. Related party transactions, and then we see example, related party transactions to a favorite. Because we are again like writing a mechanism to cut this one. Rather than from all places. For these also. What is? Then what is you are it? What is targets? Yes. Please have a state, please have a they take advantage of the knowledge that they have, they make profits out of it. Very. The close friend is being given a contract as you recruit people. Very. So now, yeah, I got some very good example. Right? A very good example. Right, you give contracts to close friends. Now, when a company requires raw materials or some other services, right, the director should be always trying to do what? Be the director, what should you do? Get the best service at the lowest cost. Get the best service at the lowest, isn't it? But now let's say, so this really happened in a certain place, I cannot tell the name, but in a government place this happened. So in this government place, it's an education institute, not here, of course, not a chartered institute, it's somewhere else. So this man actually gave the contract to his brother to provide sanitary services to this. So this particular organization wants sanitary service, cleaning of the toilets and other. So what he did was, he asked his brother to create a company. He asked his brother to create a company, and this man, being at the top, he gave a top director. What he did was, he gave the contract to his brother at a higher price, and it was a brand new company. So what's that? The quality, no one. The quality. And then what happened? A curious thing. Then his brother put something abroad with this man. They had a fight. We have fights there. And the brother went. So now the sanitary thing has to happen. So what this man did? So he was the director and he was taking what? Uday Menon pick up a DG director pick up a carrier. Well, or opposite Baldi or Kumar again. See to what level people can go for money. And then what you know what happened? Now he has to get the money for the contract. Services has to be paid. Now his brother's company is there. So the brother's company, what he did was he took the brother's company and he formed a new company by changing only one letter. And then he made payments to them. It was accepted. Finally, who got fired? Not the director, but the accountant. Because the accountant had brought this under the direction of this man, but again, the accountant was fired and now it's under investigation. Okay. But people know what's going on. Now things are very much complicated. So that's conflict of interest. You are trying to play two roles at the same time. Now let's say for an example, my sister brother is in this class. No, there is no one is in. Don't point. Right. If that's the case, then I would never take this lecture. Why? Because it creates what? Conflict of interest. Why? How can we conflict of interest? One, of course, I play the role of the brother. That means I'm assistant. On the other hand, I also play the role of the lecturer. Can you play both roles independently? You can't. That creates conflict of interest. You are trying to wear two or more hats at the same time, and that creates conflict of interest. Right? That creates conflict of interest, and that should be avoided, right, when it comes to proper corporate governance. The audit committees and the other committees will ensure that there's no conflict of interest. The related party transaction, the one student told about related party transaction, yes, it could very well create conflict of interest. So that's why we have a new committee called what? Related party transaction review committee. So they are supposed to check the related party transactions and make sure there's no conflict of interest. And that's why there's a separate accounting standard for what? Related parties. There should be related party disclosures. Board will ensure transparency. Board should ensure transparency. Right. So what are the others? Dysfunctional boards. There's no proper board meeting. They are fighting all the time. Good example, right? No CEO key performance indicators. You don't have key performance indicators for the CEO. You should have targets for the CEO. No formal CEO annual review process. You don't review the CEO's first. Not review. He reviews others, but his work is not reviewed. Board review conducted by chairs one on one chat. No. Non-ethical decision making. Ethics. No agreement between the board and management. There might be a conflict between the management and board. Board meetings, they spend more time on operations than strategic thinking. Yeah, that's another big issue. I told you that there are two functions of the board, controls and performance. In which area the board should spend more time? Performance or performance? That's what they have to. But really, to conform, you have to perform. Strategic thinking is more important. If not, you will comply. But in time to come, there will be nothing to go. You have to perform first. Then you can check the performance. So what's most important is, I would say, performance is important indeed, but performance should come number one. You should perform well, then you can take the performance. Right? So usually the priority is given for supervision and monitoring. Board times 90% is spent on that, but they fail to strategically think. In 2 or 3 years, the company goes bankrupt. Or confirmed, but performance is not. So therefore, you have a balance between performance and performance. If not, your company is going to fail. So good governance, good performance. So the companies who have good governance will always perform better. Again and again, I tell I have no any connection with JKH, but I take it as an example because they have governance. It's run by professional managers. Who professional managers who are highest performance. They take only people who are at the highest 5%. Now, when I was the coordinator of the internship program in the 3rd year, they are at Javardhanpura, they come to Javardhanpura city, different organizations, about 30-40 organizations come to recruit interns. Just 30-40 come to the Javardhanpura Institute to get these interns. We have 200 students. So yes, they take about 50-60 students, but we cannot meet that anymore. The supply of students are limited. But when JKH comes, they always demand for the top 5%. Top 5%. So you have to brilliant to be even an intern at that. So that's how they emphasize on the human resource quality. So no wonder they perform well. It is not the buildings. Finally, it boils down to the human resources and proper governance.
So that's why governance and better performance, let it be a digital company or a digital business or a traditional business, there's a clear positive correlation between good governance and good performance. Take countries. Why countries like Australia? Why countries like Singapore are performing better than Sri Lanka? Main reason is what? They don't have kings. They king of the Rajput king family. No, they are proper government. They are proper system. The benefits of good governance. So now you know the import, the characteristics of bad and good governance we know. So what are the benefits of good governance? So again, check and tell me what are the benefits of good corporate governance to companies? Take down the topic. Probably we'll get that question at the end. If I'm going to ask about governance, I might ask, define what's governance for a digital business or any business. And then what are the advantages? What are the advantages of better corporate governance? What are the advantages? At least have 5 advantages, then I'll be asking each of you 5 or 10. Either way. What are the advantages? Benefits of good governance. I'll give you several. Already benefit was there. What are the advantages? Just check and tell advantages of good. Better corporate governance.
Okay, we'll see. Again, we'll start with from this side. We'll ask, what are the advantages? And there will be one advantage of having proper corporate governance for a company.
To build trust and confidence among investors, employees,
Very
customers.
good, very good. So if you have better governance, it develops what? Trust and confidence among the stakeholders. Right? People will like you, they will trust you. All the stakeholders, internal as well as external, shareholders, the employees, anyone will trust you, isn't it? If not, people won't. What has happened to our own government? Bangladesh. People don't trust them, isn't it? It is recorded. Can you use the history? And maybe the Bangladeshis here, you might come and ask me, how did you tell me? Okay, that's good. A good point. It creates efficiency. Good governance leads to efficiency. Not only efficiency, I also would like that effectiveness. If you create effectiveness and efficiency in the business. Two very important points. Efficiency and effectiveness and efficiency. Increases the compliances with internal and external regulation. Not only external regulations, with internal policies. Better governance will ensure internal and external compliance with rules, regulations, and policies. But compliance. Good point to teach. Yes, to them. But kind of. Yes. Fines. Yes, because of the compliance is high, you will face less fines and penalties. Sometimes if you don't comply, you might even have to stop your business. If you are not reading your licenses, or if you are violating certain important Central Environmental Authority regulations, you have to stop the business. You can avoid those things, fines, penalties, stoppages, bankruptcies. Increase value of the business, indeed. Value in terms of the shareholder wealth. If you have better governance, it increases the value, the shareholder value, the wealth of the shareholder. In other words, the share prices will increase the share prices among the business. Will increase the value. Reduces corruption, indeed. Oh, with proper governance will reduce corruption, like in Srilanka. We have excellent governance, so we don't have such. But we publish yes, it increases the reputation of the company. Now, why we are talking about JKH? Why I am talking about JKH? Increases reputation. The society, better governance leads to better reputation. In economy, something for the reputation. Good. It increases the goodwill of it. Very good. It mitigates the risk factors. Indeed, better governance leads. You take calculated risk indeed, but calculated risk that will enhance the wealth. Using corporate finance, you always take money. Higher the risk, higher the return. So, like, but it doesn't mean that you will take all the risk in this world, you will take calculated risk. So, you will mitigate the risk and you will balance the risk, so you will get the highest value. A good point. Right? Mitigation of the risks.
Yes, of course, it will increase the employee satisfaction as well as other stakeholder satisfaction and will reduce staff turnover, employee turnover, meaning that they won't pay the profit. I don't see that much of people leaving JK. Only in other companies I saw there's of people leave. But in JK, I don't see that much. Okay, but again, you love to work for companies as what? Corporate governance. You love to live in countries where there's better corporate governance. But in the Lanka, the government here yes, the stakeholders will be happy about the company's performance. They will also support the company. But we need the stakeholder respect as well as support the company's activity. Yes, stakeholder also translation will be efficient. Yes, you can make effective decisions. That's a key, right? If you have better governance, you can make effective. There's no conflict of interest. You will be making the decision. If not, you will be at always like what conflict of interest. You will be taking some decisions that's advantage to you, not the company. So what happens finally? Those are not effective. Yes, that's I would say the most important one out of it. Sustainable. As human beings, as companies, what have we done? Why is not profit? Why sustainable? Profit is, as we all accountants know, is a one-year business. You can make profits today, next year, no profit. But sustainability is a long-term business. Sustainability is linked with wealth maximization. So that's one of the most important things here. Main benefit of corporate governance, I would say, is creating sustainability. So write down in black, bold, written. Very good point. Sustainability. Yes, go. Yes, you can, that's what we call access to finance. Better governance increases the access to finance. People will like to lend you. You can get shareholders, but many shareholders would like somebody industry. Because why? You have a better company. Why certain investors are running out of certain countries? In countries like Bangladesh, now the investors are running it. What is the right? Back of that. That is stability. That's the medium. That's the kingship and king family. So, investors are running. I could remember sometime back in the Bangladesh newspaper, it was there. One investor, Lebanese investor was attacked. One Lebanese investor was attacked in Bangladesh also, like in Srilanka, we have Galle and Lanka areas. And in that, one investor was attacked, the Lebanese investor was attacked because he did not support a politician, a local politician. What kind of things to them? So yes, it would attract access to capital. It will expand access to capital, which is another very important point. Both equity capital as well as debt capital. Access to increases access to debt and equity capital. Debt capital is bank loans, debentures. Equity capital is yes, fund. Yes, it increases enhances the investors' confidence. They would like to invest in your company, as well as if they have already invested, they would like to keep their investment in that, not to pull their plug and run away.
Transparency.
Excellent. It creates transparency. One of the 4 pillars of corporate governance. Increases transparency. And also, I could like let's see if the student would get that also transparency, and there's another term as well. Very good. Transparency. Yes. Indeed. So if you are complying very well, it will reduce what? Cost of compliance, penalties, and legal what? And even fines. This kind of thing. So it will reduce those unnecessary costs. Right? Yes, it will, again, that's linked with sustainability. Yes, it creates, if you have better governance, it will ensure that all stakeholder interests are met. That means you are what? Having that meeting the three requirements. The triple bottom line. What are triple bottom line? People, profit, and what? Time. If you have better governance, you will be meeting those three requirements at the triple bottom line. Yes, Mullah? Enhance visibility. What? Visibility. Again, linked with what we call goodwill. It increases visibility of the company. Very good point. Right? Increases the visibility and creates goodwill. Because of goodwill, right? It increases the visibility of the company. Good point. Efficient, yes. The decisions are made more efficiently and effective. Good point. Very good point because it increases the effect. Yes, it makes the internal controls better and the compliance is higher. Better what? Internal control compliance. Yes, attract good talented resources because people will like to work for companies which has good governance. Right now you can see people are leaving this country to places like Ethiopia or Somalia. No, they go to countries like UK, USA, right? And Australia because they have better governance. Likewise, employees would like to work in companies where there is good governance. Good point. Yes, it will attract good resources. That's a very right. People will like to invest. People will like to work. Right in these kind of governance. Yes, reduction in conflict of interest. Indeed, that is a key point. Indeed, we discussed what's conflict of interest. It will reduce that kind of conflict of interest, and will act as the better one of the company. Yes, it creates innovation. That's a new dimension. Yes, better governance. Research has indicated if you have good governance, it also encourages as well as creates innovations. That's a very good point. R&D that is high in this kind of thing. Less penalties, yes, it was indicated. You have because of better compliance, you have less penalties. So yes, I think you covered all these. Yeah. Better access to capital. One student told. Here capital means equity capital as well as debt capital. Then aids economic growth. Right? If you have governance, the companies are performing well, the governments are performing well. It aids economic growth. Positive impact on stock prices. This point, one student was told for telling that the value of the company will be going up. Value goes up through this. Stock price is going up, right? Then positive impact on performance. Already we established this. Better governance leads to better performance, better ROE and ROI. Ensure that business is fair and transparency. Yes, one student was telling. And also you can say it increases accountability as well. Better governance increases account. Transparency and accountability go hand in hand. Leads to sustainability. The rookie effect. And this is the ultimate objective of a company. Also, as a human, what's the main objective? To be sustainable. If you are not sustainable, then it's useless. Maybe we perform very well in one exam, but if you don't sustain yourself, you might fail the race. So sustainability. And also sustainability means three things. You have to ensure three things: the planet, profit, and people. You have to look after the environment. You have to look after what? The society, as well as you have to look after your economic well-being. Sustainability means making losses. Can you sustain yourself by making losses? People think sustainability is looking at the environment and the society only. Can you sustain this? No. You have to make money. While ensuring the interest of what? The environment as well as the society. Making money is nothing wrong. You have to make money. That's okay. If not, you cannot be sustainable. So some people forget that sustainability also contains what? Economic sustainability. You cannot just give things on charity, can you give things on charity and sustain yourself? Once you can do that, and after that, there's no business. Is it? So keep that in mind. So yes, very good. Sustainability. So that's what I have put it at the end. Right. Okay, I try to get a small break, isn't it? For the break account. Okay, it's 70:06. Okay, let's meet at 7:05. 5:30. 5:21 but so please come at 5:30. Easy. Let's go back again. Explain digital business to that. අපි කියන්නේ digital business පැත්තේ අදාළ ඒ පැත්තේ මම කියන්නේ දැන් I was still
insurance company.
මොකවට කැමති නැහැ. යාට ඒක පුත ඉන්ට්‍රස්ට් එකක්. මොකද ඊට වඩා ඒක කරනවා ඒක
Yes. Not a buy. Yeah, but so the recently I when I don't know when we are moving, we can't find where we will leave. Forensic. ICT, financial stability eකට පුතා බලපෑමක් වෙයි කොහොමද කරන්නේ but පුතා ඒක කමක් නෑ ඒක තමයි රිස්ක් එක either is credit තව following trade කියන්නේ මේ දැන් මේක නිසා ඒක කරන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ තියෙනවා ආදි කීපයක් අපිට අල්ගන්ඩි කිව්වොත් මේ ඉරිසා What data negative what happening to your pattern. So I need to get your advantage of the current. What is to our we were getting the accounting internal reports can all get accounting because I can create it over again. Flat structures, Download skill लेगा या कितने करती है और फाइनेंशियल वो आसान लोन देके बोलते हैं तेरा बड़ा होता है तो हम लाइफ में से देखना तो नहीं है बहुत बड़ा और ये की वो इंडियन आउट है वो तो बोलते हैं अंतिम तो इधर ये तीन टे इससे का सिग्नल मान के जाता है और चीफ इंजन ऑडिटर ने नहीं that's an experience. That's our reason for that. So they don't put a but what they are taking that. Yeah, taking what positive. So what that the regular work is there wasn't make a cake period. What is the cake period of each because how again now over the you are kidding about it. Make a cake period. That is the vast we popular problem but that problem. Yeah, going to be export. Situation is a part of a framework can
ඒවා මාතක තියෙන ප්‍රොබ්ලම් එක තියෙන ආර්ථික අවවාදයේ ඊට
ESP program के मतलब क्या ESP program में क्या environment strategy and तर environment के लोग पहले environment analysis कर लेते हो तो strategy है environment का एक external environment के लिए होती है मतलब strategy का तो ये framework के apply करें ये बना it was strategy digital business strategy विकास strategy के लिए action it was a perform ये तीन perform इधर बड़ा ESG का ये पार्ट ये दूसरा बड़ा स्कोप का approach इधर एक perspective समझ रहे और the digital business से अगर performance special
Right. Right, we'll start now. Okay, so welcome back. Study continue. Despite some students are still enjoying their break, isn't it? But we have, we don't have that much of time, and today there's an assignment that's there of particular company mobility. So it says all corporate activities needs a governing body. We understood not only companies, profit-oriented companies, all ventures require corporate governance. I told even a company, even a family requires governance. Family requires governance. So you can see profit-oriented companies, public-private companies, joint ventures, cooperatives, partnerships. How about sole proprietorships? Sole proprietorships require governance. Yes or no? Individuals, they also require governance. Any entity, for that matter, requires governance. No governance means you are actually working. Governance is a universal requirement. For class, do you think there's a governance requirement? Yes. For SAP, do you need governance? Yes. For CSV, do you need governance? For government, do you think governance is required? Yes, indeed. So, like as you can see, for all entities, governance is required. It's a universal requirement. And this is very important to understand. Please take down the first sentence. Corporate governance is different from management. That's a very important to understand. So please take down the statement, the first statement only. Governance is different from management. 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 What's the difference? Again, use your smartphones and tell me what's the difference between governance and management. governance and management. So we have smartphones, but no. Oh. Phone gonna what? No. Rules are Okay, I have asked for the people who came in before, the difference between management and governance. Is it the same thing or different? It is the same thing or different? Tell me what the difference is. That's different. I'm going to give you few names. What's the difference between governance and management? Just check and tell me whether it's same thing or is it different? Governance and management. Different. It's different indeed. What's the difference?
Governance is the process of making and enforcing rules and regulations and policies. Management is the application of those rules and regulations.
Excellent. Governance is the direction. Management executes. It's like the difference between the head and the hands. What's the head? What's the head? Governance. Head directs our hands and our legs. Not the other way. Because our hands and legs direct our head. So some politician in Bangladesh, that's the reason. Actually, it's not the head or hand, their stomach. Their stomach directs all the things. What are some theoretical? What I meant to talk. It shouldn't be the case. Right? So the hands and the legs are the management. The head sets the direction, the hands and the legs execute. So it's very different. It's very different. Now it's the same mechanism. If the same people do the governance and management, do you think it's successful? No. It's not going to be successful. Because why? The execution arm might not be able to decide what's going on. Might or might not be. And maybe they might not also do the correct thing. They will take the shortcuts. They will always try to do the things using shortcuts. Because they do not direct things. They just try to do some certain things, make some quick bucks. But the management, but the governance will ensure it's going in the correct direction. Studying formulation policy making, as well as monitoring and supervision, as well as discharging accounting external accountability. Those are done by the management. Those are done by the governance mechanism, not by the management. The management will have to follow the orders. So that's why, as humans, we fail. As humans, we fail. That's why. Because in a human, the governance as well as the execution is done by the same person. Isn't it? That's why we fail. Because in humans, we have the best and worst thing. What's that? Self-discretion. We have the discretion on our actions. That's the best and the worst thing in humans. We can decide what we are doing. Of course, our parents, our teachers, our employers will be giving us some direction, but ultimately, whether to do it or not is decided by us. And most of the people take the shortcuts. They don't do the correct thing.
So that's why when you are going to decide your future, while you do things, you cannot do that. That's why you have to sit about for 1 hour on a Sunday evening when there's nothing, or in some other day when there's nothing, and decide what will be your plan for next week, or at least for next day. Because while being governing and while being executing, you cannot govern yourself. If not, what happens is in the morning you will wake up and whatever comes across you, you will be doing. That's execution. And you will have wasted the entire day on arranging your table or entering some data into a spreadsheet. Because you lack down. That's why it's told by management gurus that you have to plan your day the night of the following, the previous day. Iterate the other way decide. You have to plan your day, next day's work, the previous day's time, at least. Or at least in the morning before you start anything, do what? Plan your day. That's governance. Then execute. That's management. What we do is the other way around. We just wake up, and the first thing what we do, we check emails. Emails are what? Other people's agendas. So what we do is in the first thing in the morning itself, we check other people's agendas and we execute. So can we develop ourselves? Can we be successful? No, it's other people will be successful, not us. So never check the emails at the first stage. First thing what you have to do is you have to plan your day. Then around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., you can check the emails. So those are failures. People why they fail, right? Psychologists have found, right? Particularly management gurus have found, right? Organization psychologists have found. If you look at, right, people like Brendan Burchard, then Darren Hart, those are some expert people on productivity. What they say is never check the emails at the first thing on the list. And even though they go to the extent, never even check the social media. First thing to do. First, work on yourself. See what are your plans, what are your projects for them. Then execute them. So therefore, students remember there's a difference between what? Management and governance. Governance sets the direction, management executes that. So do you think without direction, execution would work?
No.
No. You don't know where you're going to go. You will be running, but you don't know where you are. It's like a ship without a direction. Governance will tell that you have to go to this port. Because you will be executing and going here and there everywhere. And that's exactly what has happened in our life. We don't have got a direction. But at least you have got a direction. You have come to this degree and excellent choice. And now you have a direction and you know what you want and steer your ship towards that. Right? So that's what you call governance. So while you execute, you cannot do that. So therefore, you have to reserve at least 1 hour for thinking about your future. It's a very scary thing to do. People like to execute. Always be in the phone. Always check things. Right? That's execution. But on the other hand, an intelligent person will sit for at least 30 minutes, do nothing, and think of what I should do in my life. And then plan it. Then steer towards that. Therefore, usually what is told by this Darren Hardy and other guys who are top experts in productivity, at least on a Sunday evening. I know in Sunday evenings, but at least on Sunday evenings, do that. Plan your week. Plan yourself. Plan your life. What you're doing. If not, what will happen? You have to execute others' plans. You will be slaves of others' You want to be slaves of others' flags? I don't. It's not you shouldn't do this legally. You can be someone else. So there's a huge difference between governance and management. So that's what you are absolutely correct. Executive management is responsible for running the enterprise, execution, running the enterprise. While management is that's the responsibility, while the governance responsibility what? Setting the direction. So the executive management can run that direction. So you can see the governing body ensures it is running in the right direction, but first of all, they set the direction and they ensure it's run in that proper way. So yes, you are very correct. Absolutely, there's a difference between management and governance. People don't understand this difference. When I say management and governance, they think it's the same thing. In certain companies, it's the same thing, and that's why those companies don't perform well. That's why the CEO and chair should be two different. Okay. Then let's see when this word governance came into birth in this word. How this word came. It was coined by Chaucer, who lived in 1343 and 1400. Very, very long time. Even at that time, he was what? He was an English writer, philosopher, and courtier, and used the word governance, although he did not pronounce it in that manner. He spelled it in a different way. Okay. But the phrase corporate governance came only after 1980. So only after 1980, the term corporate governance came into this world. But those had this governance, not corporate governance in this time. So if we look at the evolution of corporate governance, things started to happen in the 19th century. And where governance, corporate governance particularly was emphasized much and much and much, very much. Why? Can you tell me what happened in 19th century? And where corporate governance became much more important. Why? 19th century, what occurred? The industry revolution. Then what happened in industry revolution? In industry revolution, because of their technology, they introduced technology, production technologies. They have what? They are capable of mass production. Huge, large scale production. Before that, it was not there. For this amount of large production, they require large companies. Because at that time, the entities were in the form of what? Sole proprietorships and partnerships. What's the problem with sole proprietorships and partnerships? Limited funds. Limited funds. So therefore, they needed another device where they could collect massive amounts of funds so that they can have a massive production. What was that invention? What was the corporate form that was devised to get massive amount of funds? Those are called companies. That's how companies were made from. So now they could collect money from shareholders. So that's the birth of company. So the industrial revolution was responsible. Industrial revolution was responsible. So now by forming companies, they could collect a lot of money and make large factories and produce in a great large scale. So at that time, we called those companies joint stock companies. Joint stock companies. These are stock shares. Same thing as limited liability. Now we call them limited liability. So this was the birth, and of course, at this place, you require governance. Why? Now, with the companies, now it was with sole proprietors, it was with partnerships, now it's companies. Now, for a company, why do you require corporate governance? Because there's separation between now ownership and control. Who are the owners of the company? A large public company, who are the owners? Shareholders. Then who are the shareholders running the company? Now in JK there might be thousands of shareholders. Do they all come in the morning and they run the company? No. They have delegated that to agents. Who are the agents? The managers. The managers and the directors are the agents. So you can see here, the owners are the shareholders, and these are the managers are the employees who are the agents. So there is a separation, there is a divorce between owners and the managers in a limited liability company. Not in a family company. In a family company, there is no difference. The shareholders could be the managers and the directors, but in a large scale company, this difference is there. This creates what problem? It is agency problem. Excellent. It creates the agency problem. Now the agents are there as well as who are there? The principals are there. Who are the agents in this case? Who are the agents? Agents are who? Who are the agents? Board of directors of the manager. These are the and who are the principals? Here in there. After defects. False, right? PAL, not PLU. So these are the principals and these are the agents. So are always the agents act on the best interest of the shareholders? Agents have this owners like Lanka shareholders like best interest of the unfortunately, it's not. So that's what we saw in Sakti Singh's case, where he took money of the poor depositors and the shareholders and he abused that money. So who is the owner? The shareholder. Who is the agent? Both the agent and the client. Sakti So Enron and WorldCom and lot of other cases in proceedings. Right? There's a conflict between agents and the owners, the principal. So this is called by the agency. Now, to control this situation, you require what? The question is, the agents like principles of the conflict. There is a conflict between agents and principals. That's called the agency. How to mitigate this problem? How to reduce this problem? You cannot eliminate this problem, but you can reduce this problem. How? Yes, you can impose internal controls. You can bring independent non-executive directors. You can have audit committees. You can have remuneration committees. You can have nomination committees. You can have related party transaction review committees. You can have internal audits. You can have even external audits. Regulators. All these are what are these? Corporate governance agencies. So you can say to mitigate this problem, you can implement corporate governance mechanism. Now the problem to address the issue problem. Let's take To address the agency problem, you have corporate governance. You implement corporate governance mechanisms to address this problem. So that's why governance is required. One explanation. That's agency theory. You are absolutely correct. When there's separation between ownership and control, when you can see agents and owners separated, then you can see there is what?
there is the requirement for corporate governance. And these are the fathers of corporate governance, actually agency theory. Jensen and McKee. There is no mothers, but two fathers. Jensen and McKee, 1976. Were you born in 1976? Even I was not born in 1970. Let's see how old this theory is. So they came up with this agency theory, where when there's separation between ownership and control, there's a conflict. So that's what's being explained by the agency. So the agency problem, the mismanagement, the misalignment of agents and principals' interest leads to agents pursuing strategies that are not in the best interest of the principals. So these are the four of the agency problem. The principals or the agent's interests are not aligned with the principals. The shareholders' expectations are not fulfilled by the agent. But as managers, what should be their main objective? What's the main objective of management? In corporate finance, what was told you? There's only one objective. Yes?
Acting the best.
Of the shareholders to do what? And increase the wealth of the share. Maximize the wealth of the share. So the agents or the managers should increase the wealth of the share. But what they do here? Do they increase the wealth of the shareholders or increase the wealth of themselves? Like Bangladeshi politicians. The Bangladeshi politicians are supposed to increase the wealth of the people. They are agents. But what they have done is they have increased their family. They have increased their own wealth of their people. And so the country was declared back. See what happens when there is misalignment. And when there are no good mechanisms to control. Right. So that's one explanation why you require corporate governance. Because of what? Agency problem. It's only one explanation. Then I now tell a completely contradictory explanation. So for one problem, there could be several explanations. Why a person behaves in a certain way could be having several explanations. Now, I give you one reason why corporate governance is required. Why corporate governance is required? Because of agency problem. The agents and their interests are not aligned with the shareholders, so then it creates the agency problem. That's all. That's a problem. So you require corporate governance mechanisms to align those two or reduce the agents' unaligned behavior. So that's what you try to do in corporate. But that's only one explanation. Now my question is, in a family company, do you require governance? In a family company, there's no agency problem. The shareholders are the family members. They become the directors and the managers. But still, do you require corporate governance?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
To direct.
Yes. Corporate governance is not only monitoring and supervision. Corporate governance is also directing the company in proper direction. Is it? So yes, even when there's no agency problem, still you require corporate governance, right? To run the company efficiently. So here the governance mechanisms are there to discharge the management's roles and responsibilities efficiently and effectively. So if I ask you this question, I think you have already studied under company law about directors, right? Yes. There it says
The directors have what kind of duty towards shareholders? They use a very particular term for that in the company side. 2007 numbers are. What's that? Yes, stewardship function, that's their duty. They have what kind of duty? Fiduciary duty. Fiduciary duty. What's fiduciary duty? A duty that's based on trust and confidence. So, based on Companies Act, the Company Act says directors are servants of the shareholder. That's why there's a fiduciary duty. They don't talk about any conflict. The Companies Act doesn't speak about a conflict between shareholders and the directors. They say, the Companies Act says, directors are servants of shareholders. So then why governance is required? So that the servants could discharge their duties properly. That's what governance is. To make their duties discharged properly, you need governance. That's why even in a family company, governance is required. So that they can discharge their duties properly. Why do you need a board of directors? Why do you need an audit committee? So that the functions could be effectively, not because of agency purpose. Because in a family company, you don't have agency purpose. So then why do you need governance? So that the managers and the directors could discharge their duties. So that's called the stewardship explanation of corporate governance. It's not because of any agency conflict. It's because the managers and directors could effectively discharge their duties with governance mechanisms. So that's what told here. So stewardship theory is a complete opposite of agency. Why? Under agency theory, we always discuss that there is a conflict between the principals and the agent. But on stewardship theory, do we discuss about a conflict? No. What we tell is the agent, the agents here, the directors or the management are servants of the staff. So there's no conflict. A servant can have a conflict with the principal or the owner. Then why governance is required? So the servants could discharge their duties properly. So the governance mechanisms are there so that the servants could discharge their duties properly. Not because of any conflict, but to discharge their duties properly. So see a complete different explanation. Earlier it was to mitigate an agency problem, but now it's not for that. It's to discharge their duties as servants. Of course, directors wouldn't like to hear that they are servants. Right? But again, this is from the standpoint of the Companies Act. Legal concept of company. Directors are stewards. Right? That's what it says. Then the third explanation, why governance is required for a company. It's a very complete different explanation than the earlier two explanations. And if I remind you, the earlier two explanations again, what does the agency theory say that governance is required? Agency theory and governance required can be clear. What? To mitigate that agency conflict. If there's an agency conflict, you require corporate governance. That's the agency theory explanation. The stewardship theory explanation is what? Governance is required for so that the stewards, the managers and the directors could discharge their duties properly with governance mechanism. So nothing to do with conflict. Not as a mitigation mechanism. Then there's a third explanation as well, which is given under resource dependency. Here what it says is, directors act in the role of bringing resources to the company. You appoint directors to get resources, not to mitigate any agency problems, not to act efficiently and effectively, but you need governance mechanisms, particularly directors, to bring resources to a company. Let me give you some examples. Now, for example, if I want to expand, let's say I have a local company in Sri Lanka, and if I want to expand that to Germany, what's the best way I could expand? Make a German as a direct investment, right? So he will establish the links in Germany and how can we approach it. If I want to go to Japan, the same thing. On the other hand, if I want, like, let's say I'm running a scientific company which is on R&D, then what the best way I can have more R&D? Bring a scientist as a director. So now the directors are acting as resources. So that's what it says, resource dependent. So the director board is not there to what? Mitigate any agency problems, not to discharge their duties effectively and efficiently, but to bring resources to them. Another very different explanation than the earlier two explanations. Right. Resource dependency theory is where the director board, the governance mechanism is trying to bring resources to the end. So we call the directors act as boundary expanding nodes. The directors will expand the boundaries of the organization by bringing resources. So the governance mechanism is not there for mitigating any agency problems. It's not to make things efficient and effective. It's to bring resources to them. And yes, you can see a lot of directors sometimes they bring different people into the director board because they have connection. Right? They are well connected people, so they can bring resources to them. Not because of the agency problem, not because of the stewardship issue. Understood? So I gave you three different explanations why governance is required. What's the first explanation? Governance is required for mitigating agency issues. Second explanation, to discharge the duties but effectively and efficiently as stewards. Directors are required. What's the third explanation? Governance is required for yes, to expand its resource base. Directors act in that way. So that's what it says. Resource dependency theory sees governing body as the link between company and the resources required. What are the resources? Access to capital. You bring a banker as the director. You get loan capital. Then provision of know-how. You bring a scientist for the know-how. Relationship with business, political and other societal network, elites. If you want to touch upon some elites, and if you want to get the government backing, you bring a politician into your play. Those days I remember when a company was struggling at that time. They brought even at that time Govinda Zilla at power. Govinda Zilla was made a director at that time. So you can see how they expanded their nodes. So directors are viewed as boundary spanning nodes, right, to increase their resource base. So three different explanations on why governance is required. What are three different explanations given by agency theory, resource dependency theory, and what's the third theory? Resource dependency theory, what's the third? Then stewardship. Agency theory, stewardship theory, and the resource dependency theory. Is it clear? So now look at your directors in your company. See, are they there for agency purpose? Is it for stewardship? Or is it for resource dependency? Or maybe they might be acting for several roles. Maybe agency, maybe resource dependency, maybe even efficient. So I have given the summary here. Even I have got another theory as well. Agency theory, resource dependency theory, and stewardship. That's enough for the time being. Even stakeholder theory can be brought in. Agency theory highlights the controlling and monitoring function. Right? To control the agents, you need governance. Resource dependency theory, board of directors provides advice, counsel, and legitimate channels to get resources. Then finally, stewardship theory, where main role of board is to work as steward. Right. Last slide. There is more homework.
homework all day. Either, what are the theater? Homework and the end of the assignment. Cannot be a homework at all. Now they are allowed to do that, but again, I will explain that. So you don't need to do the homework, but there is a case study that's uploaded as mobinet. You know, mobinet case study. If you here again, you do the only 2 pages. Please read it, and I'll discuss that next week. So it will be very important when it comes to exam. 5 stars. 5. Read that case study. It will be really important. The case study is going to be really important. So please read it. Right. With that, then we'll finish today. Any questions before we find out? There's a positive rating that says you can perform it. Okay, some students came and clarified their group assignment next week, as well as some students came for their individual assignment. So good luck, and we'll meet next week and come prepared for the presentation. Okay. Good luck. Thank you.